Oh,
Hello,
okay.
knowledge thirsty beauty,
Hello.
and welcome to another episode of DP2 the Brain. We have return of our good friend InvestTony of the Investment Hacking YouTube channel. How you doing, my friend?
Hello. I'm doing great, as you can probably see.
Well,
It would be interesting to
we're
compare
on all platforms now,
two
so we might have
pictures of
people
me.
not seeing.
Oh, all right.
Which is a reminder to follow us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcasts. We are on all audio platforms.
I'm
But
excited to be an English-speaking podcast so I can share it with my English-speaking friends because they're all super excited about my channel, but unfortunately they can't understand what I'm talking about.
yeah. Well, yeah, let's start there. How is the channel coming along? I know last time we talked to you, it was a couple weeks in and you were at about 100 subscribers a day. How's it going?
Yeah, we're crossing 12,500 subscribers right now,
Okay.
which, yeah, we're not trying even hard to get as many as we wanted to grow naturally. We're not just putting all the clickbaits, thumbnails. Bitcoin is going to go tomorrow to
Mm-hmm.
$1,000 or $1 million, whatever, like whatever the narrative might be. So we're just trying to deliver quality content, and our community is growing too. We have close to 1,500 people in a Telegram chat, and the atmosphere there is very good. We're just sharing our thoughts, supporting the people who are like at a loss, and sharing strategies, but not financial advice, of course, never.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. Um, Now that's what you touched on is because you're kind of filling a void of providing crypto news in Russian. That's kind of a bit of a niche that had a void that was there for you to fill, correct?
Yeah, well, there are some channels in Russian, but they are they have a little different focus. They're trying to catch the most recent trend and maybe, just follow the hype necessarily. And I'm a little bit of a more of a reserve strategy. Reminding my viewers about the risks and how they are always connected to the returns, and remind them not to take too much risk more than they can afford to lose, because that there are lots of young people or people with zero financial background. So sometimes they just get carried away when they see this ridiculous gains which people are sharing in the other chats, saying, oh, my friend did 100x, you're like missing out on that. And I'm just trying to show them that you don't need to do 100x in one trade. You can just dollar cost average and do other
Mhm.
responsible ways of investment, and then that would be your path to financial freedom.
Would you say
So
that there's a lot of channels out there giving people fish, but there was no channels out there teaching people how to fish? So you're teaching them how to fish instead of just giving them a fish.
yeah, I guess you can put it that way. And maybe I wouldn't go that far as saying there were no channels. I didn't do such an in-depth research. I'm sure there are some quality channels, but you know, I decided to add another quality channel rather than another.
It's not a crowded market,
No, it's not a crowded market.
especially in Russian. Like those are
Yeah,
two. That's like two added filters that really opened up a niche for you to fill. Which
and
and I know you are a traveler and such, so not just in Russian. Like how much of a need is that throughout the entire world? Just basic crypto news in their own languages. I remember when we were we worked with the international students, and I've said how the Vietnamese students they could never find popular movies, even subtitled in their language, let alone dubbed. So, do you see that as a void in tons of different language markets?
yeah, I'm sure it's true what you're saying, but I know there are some French crypto channels. I know there are German crypto channels. So uh, yeah, I think if somebody can, because the majority of information is obviously provided in English, and all the regional sources there are in English. Some news coming from, I don't know, like
Mm-hmm.
Fed Reserve or some hedge funds, they in English. And I think the people who can speak both languages, let's say their mother tongue and English, and would be willing to you know provide the
Well,
information in their
yeah,
own
but
language so their people can listen to it. So yeah, I think because like Russian audience is paid like 10 times less than English speaking. So lots of people asking me like, why don't you do it in English? And one honest answer would be because there are lots of quality
Yeah,
crypto channels
exactly.
in English, so it's hard to compete. That's one. But at the same time, there's already a lot of quality information and much more than in Russian. So I'm rather providing a good quality there than just being one of few
Exactly.
of many
And
in
I'm
English.
saying
Yeah,
that, and I'm basically hypothesizing that such an opportunity exists in basically any of your almost any language outside of, let's say, your most popular 4 or 5. Yeah, like you said, there's probably decent French coverage, there's decent Spanish, maybe German. I'm sure Chinese has decent coverage of it. Whether or not everyone has access to it is a different question, but I'm thinking, like, what about Brazilians? Is there something in Portuguese? Or what about, our lovely friend Pam? If Pam wants to buy some stuff from Thailand, is there anyone in giving Bitcoin news in Thai?
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are, but yeah, again, the quality is, I don't know, it's
Exactly. Well,
interesting too.
okay.
We can do,
I guess I
and
should put it in the way
just
that
a
you're
little
doing it.
yeah. Yeah. So just a little input. Interestingly enough, I just now I'm looking at my statistics from the channel, and only 45% of my total views are from Russia. The following right after that, 21% is from Ukraine, and then there's Kazakhstan, Belarus, Germany, United States, Latvia, Poland, Moldova, Great Britain, Israel, Litva. So there's Russians living in the different countries, and they're
Absolutely.
watching. Or I mean, Ukraine clearly they're Ukrainians too, and Kazakhstan people who speak Russian too. So it's just interesting in the geography. When I do my Saturday streams, I ask people where are they watching me from, and you'd be amazed. Like from all over the world, the people are watching crypto news in Russia. Yes, so
hmm
interesting.
And hypothetically, they also know the language of where they're living, so they're kind of, spreading the word like you do. For any of those who didn't know, InvestTony for a while had, I don't know if you still have it, the phone case that says, "Warning, we'll talk about Bitcoin."
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah, it's there. What I do today? Yesterday we had a crypto meetup, by the way, and I was wearing my Bitcoin shirt saying "I told you so."
Oh, like, oh, what do you mean? Just like a bunch of Bitcoin crypto enthusiasts just got together and kind of had like a little mini expo, if you will?
Yeah, where I live in Central America, there are lots of um, people coming from different countries. Again, mainly Canada, United States, and other European countries too. And they they are very they have a similar mindset. They're leaving their countries because of the ridiculous, how we put it nicely, pandemic measures, and
Either
that's they
political
find themselves
reasons
here and
or
in
economic
interesting.
reasons.
Yeah, mainly the government trying to push further than
That
it
income
makes
tax or
sense.
lack therefore of is not a bad perk either.
Yeah, but that's it comes all in the package. The people who are not agree with the printing money and this weird mask mandates and vaccines, they all find themselves here. And it's interesting because whoever you ask here, they are either already in crypto or they are like on the way. They're like, definitely I want to learn. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't honestly, I haven't met a single person here who's like, no way, that's a scam, what are you talking about? Which is like would be the regular answer for you know probably where you would be if you just start talking to the neighbors. They'd be like, what are you talking about?
Well, actually,
Right. So
one thing I want to touch on then, because I know, oh gosh, I can't. It was either a couple weeks ago or like 2 months. There was a Bitcoin conference in Miami. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah, of course, it was a
And well,
huge
so the
Bitcoin
question I want to
2021.
ask you is, how do you feel about the concept of Bitcoin maximization or Bitcoin maximizers?
Maximalists, you mean?
Maximalists, yes, excuse me. Like,
Yeah.
you think that's positive? Like, I don't know, what's your take?
Oh, I mean, you're probably talking about Max Kaiser yelling from the stage. I mean, look, uh,
Just,
there
I
are
guess just the
Bitcoin.
concept of only Bitcoin. If Bitcoin can be the only crypto, and the only way Bitcoin concedes is by crushing all other cryptos, maybe I'm misstating it, but that seems to be the ultimate belief of Bitcoin maximalists, is that they have to destroy other cryptos and that Bitcoin is the only true. Am I accurately stating that?
Yeah, well, there are Bitcoin maxes and Bitcoin maxes. There are some Bitcoin maxes which who were just, I don't know, I'm not gonna say lucky enough, but who just happened to be in tech and in finance right at the time when Bitcoin was introduced. So these guys, they seen a value. Kudos to them. Like one of my neighbors, he's in Bitcoin from 2013, but Max Kaiser is there from like 2000, I don't know, 10, 11, whatever. So he just had enough money to put in Bitcoin, enough for, to make a fortune of it. He's probably a billionaire by now. And so does it, his take on Bitcoin, he doesn't need anything else. He
Okay, yeah.
knows that Bitcoin has its value, and it's his main holding. It's like Peter Schiff is shilling gold because that's his main portfolio.
Maybe I can like zoom out a bit and hit it more generally. So especially as we see the development of state-created cryptocurrencies, what is your thoughts on the increase of hostilities between cryptocurrencies? And do you think that that competition will bolster the crypto market or will be to its detriment?
Okay, yeah, I know where you're going. So yeah, I think that different cryptocurrencies can coexist, definitely. And nowadays there are more and more projects which are targeting interoperability. So there's more decentralization, decentralized exchanges which allow you to swap different currencies. There are bridges which connect different ecosystems. There are even decentralized exchanges for different currencies which allow you to swap native Bitcoin to native Ethereum, which is a quite groundbreaking technology if you think about it. But um, so yes, cryptos should coexist. Not all cryptos made the same. They don't have the same value or value proposition or even technology behind them. Some of them are securities, some of them are utility tokens. So yes, they can coexist. Yes, pick and choose, pick your battles. The more risk, the more return. You have to really study the crypto if you want to invest in it. And to touch on the government crypto. So yeah, government crypto is not going to be a decentralized ledger. Clearly, it's going to be super centralized, and
Exactly.
it's going to give the government the ultimate power. So if it's centralized, then the government can decide which like they would know exactly whose wallet belonged to who, how much money there is, where do you spend it, and if you do something which you're not supposed to, they'll just like basically disable your wallet or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Which is kind of like the opposite of what, like the whole point, in my opinion, but continue.
For sure. And so it's no way, I don't think a digital dollar, yuan or ruble, whatever, is a competitor to a Bitcoin, because it's just the opposite, just like you said. But I also see it as a good factor, because it will help. First of all, government will take on education. So the government will help to educate people, because if they introduce the digital dollar, they'll have to show how to use the wallet. So this is the wallet. That's your digital wallet. You scan it at your work. You get your salary. Now you can
And we
scan the
will
code in the
talk about
store.
how it's being rolled out right now and a little bit later.
Yeah, so they will do the education work for us, and then if the digital dollars would be listed on crypto exchanges, existing crypto exchanges or upcoming crypto exchanges, then it will help people it will facilitate the process of buying Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever they want to. So right now it's a little bit of a hurdle for most of the people to take their fiat, pull the $20 from the wallet, and how do I turn it into Bitcoin? Oh, you need to create this, you need to create that, connect bank account, verify, wait. But if you have all your digital dollars on your wallet, then you just scan the code, boom, it's on Binance, you can buy Bitcoin. At least that's how I see it. But who knows how it will look once they roll it out, and would we allow it to be traded on Binance or other crypto exchanges?
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, let me let me give you like a hypothetical here. Let's say, okay, so the United States, let's say we have US coin, that's our crypto, and let's say China has China coin, and, let's say Facebook has Libra, and I know, like, ignore the technological whatever, just for the sake of the hypothetical, and there's open crypto, there would be obviously open hostility between those three cryptos, or at least in this scenario, they're being openly, hostile to each other. They want the value of the other two to go down so that theirs relatively goes up. So in that scenario where, you have a three-way tug of war, how does that fighting influence Bitcoin, who is not like directly in this fight, if you will?
Yeah, I mean I think that's going to be beneficial for Bitcoin because Bitcoin arguably is the most decentralized cryptocurrency right now. So the beauty of it that you can't inflate it, you can't affect it. The market puts a price on it. Bitcoin doesn't have a marketing team, and it's still there. Bitcoin doesn't get bailouts from the government, and the price is still there. So when the market crashed in the pandemic in March 2020, there was a lot of money put into stock market to support it. Bitcoin rebounded by itself. People just found the value. So in any kind of monetary wars, I think Bitcoin will benefit and thrive because you can't just influence it. The market will decide, and I think the market participants are smart enough to pick decentralized system to compare in comparison to centralized currencies.
Mm-hmm. So we did touch on it a little bit before. Very exciting news, I think. The news coming out of El Salvador, with El Salvador adopting Bitcoin as the official currency. I'm sure you've been tracking that closer than I have. How have you seen that rollout going? Has there been any issues, or how has the execution of it been? Because I think theoretically we think it's great, but how's the execution?
Yeah, it's interesting. They announced it on this Bitcoin event in Miami, and there was some crypto enthusiasts who were working closely with the government, with the president, and the president rolled out the bill. It passed the Congress very smoothly and quickly, which you probably would have expected from a small country like that. So and now they're just full on developing it. As far as I see it, they're educating people. They are establishing a fund in case some people would like to buy Bitcoin who don't have a bank account, because statistics says there is about 70% not underbanked in El Salvador, so they don't have even like necessary documents to set up a bank account.
Yeah.
So these people will need to get Bitcoin in order to start interacting. So they're setting up a fund. So as far as I understood, they probably will be selling it for cash. So there's that. And again, the education is going on. The government is looking into different options of mining, or maybe not mining itself, but providing the electricity for the miners who would like to invest in the country. And I think a very smart move is to give a permanent residency for the people who would like to invest up to three and more Bitcoin into the economy of El Salvador. Because the simple math says that the current population of El Salvador is 6.5 million. So if you multiply 6.5 million in 3, that's about the whole circulating supply of Bitcoin. So if they can attract 6 million people to move to El Salvador, they'll have a lot of Bitcoin. But what's even more interesting that it's a small country. I'm sure that most of citizens of first world countries, they see come on, what's El Salvador? Like, come on, it's 6.5 million. There are gangs and all that stuff. I sense the little bit of a negativity, saying that it's all a joke. But if you just look at the history of Bitcoin over time, they were saying, okay, nobody's using it, and there's only drug dealers are using it, and then there's only some internet sites using it, only small companies are using it, only small publicly traded companies using it, only small countries are using it. So
well, another thing to keep in mind that Americans tend to look at things through a very American-centric scope, and I think you'd agree that most American crypto skeptics, are looking at things from an American perspective,
Of course.
economically. The other big thing that's come up lately, which I'm hoping you have the stuff to debuff, the environmental concerns. That's become a very hot issue lately in crypto. The environmental concerns, the energy consumption from mining. Now, I'm hearing things from both sides that it's bad for the environment, but then I'm also hearing that that's a myth to be debunked. So what's going on with that? Is mining crypto destroying the environment?
Well, again, yes and no. I mean, the Bitcoin mining or Ethereum is mineable too, and all other crypto which work in proof of work, they require a lot of electricity to be mined, and the game theory works there. There's a supply and demand, um, narrative which is true for everything in the free market. And Bitcoin requires electricity. Miners are paying for this electricity most of the time. I'm sure that somebody's stealing it, but we're not going to go into that. It's a
Yeah.
very small percentage. So usually the miners are paying for the electricity. So, and it's not like, in order to be a competitive miner, you need to find cheap electricity, and cheap electricity usually exists where there is excess of that. So you're not going to mine in New York because it's going to just, you're not going to make any money at the current price of Bitcoin. But if you were to mine in Mongolia, where there is a very low population and there are few, let's say, nuclear power stations or some other power sources, there is excess of electricity. And rather than just waste it, the miners, they don't need a lot of infrastructure. They can just set up a mining farm right next to the plant and just use the excess of power and pay for the electricity to support the growth of the region. That's what El Salvador is doing right now too. They're exploring the mining from volcanoes. You've probably seen it.
Yeah.
But that's a separate conversation. It's like also carbon
Well,
neutral.
that's basically what I was going to say, is that the issue being raised isn't even about crypto at all. Crypto is being scapegoated when the real issue is, why is gas and petroleum and all this stuff so much cheaper than cleaner energy? That's the real, because like you said, it's all market supply demand. So, like you said, they're trying to get the cheapest electricity they can, and it's the same with third world countries. You can't expect a third world country to spend double on electricity because it's better for the earth. It's not realistic. So then the question becomes, well, why is oil and gas, 1/3 the price, and can we do something about that? So I think the scapegoating of crypto is misguided at best, and just not a good
again,
faith argument at worst.
yeah, something else too. I mean, you probably heard this argument too, but what are you comparing it to? Somebody like to say, oh, the Bitcoin mining spends so much money as this country or that country, but how much electricity spend all the banking branches, which Bitcoin actually makes all the banks obsolete. So how much electricity does the money printing takes? How much energy does the gold mining requires?
And that's why
And I'm not even talking about.
That's why I say
I'm not even talking about the Christmas lights. Christmas lights in America, yeah. So the Christmas lights in America, they require as much electricity as small countries. So, nobody is trying to outlaw that. And what's the better, energy use is the strongest decentralized monetary system or decoration. It's arguable, but you get the point. Definitely is not. This is not the main point of the conversation. You're absolutely right. But there is a trend here, at least where I live in Central America. The solar power is very popular. Well, because sun is very strong, and you can sustain a house on a solar battery, and solar batteries are getting cheaper and cheaper over time, which is
and there's not a
great,
massive
awesome.
bureaucracy between you and getting it set up, like in California, where you might spend 4 years to get every single thing signed off. You don't have to go through 1,900 agencies with every single form and all that stuff, correct?
Yes, that is correct. But again, I mean, I'm neither an ecological guy nor a physicist or something like that. But I know that lithium is not good either. So there's probably not
True.
uh,
Yeah.
such a way to get the energy
Uh,
without damaging some environment. But yeah,
I would
smart people will
argue,
decide.
I personally would argue that, I mean, like you said, I don't know the science, but I would think that, if we would have, well, the thing is, we can't try to do multiple things at once. We have to either do one thing or the other. So if we're going to go start mining lithium, we have to go all in on the electric cars. And if we do that, then I think you could argue that, long term, whatever digging you're doing in the mining is going to be less damageable over like 1,000 years for the end pursuit. And of course, that's always the argument. Um, I personally am a big pro nuclear power fan. I'm a big fan of nuclear power. Um,
Mhm.
I think it's got a bit of a bad rap because everyone thinks of it as the old technology. Well, technology continues to advance, science continues to advance. A modern, brand spanking new nuclear thing that's properly implemented, executed, whatever, is safe. Thorium and stuff. But like I said, I'm no expert on this stuff, so people would have to do their own research on that.
Yes.
So, one other thing I wanted to ask you about, as I like to call it, elongate. Elon. So Elon Musk has basically become the face of cryptocurrency, if you will, worldwide. With the Dogecoin, and then first they took Bitcoin, and then they didn't take Bitcoin. Now they're taking Bitcoin again. What do you think about, like, okay, well, first of all, would you agree that he's the single most influential person on the crypto market?
As of right now, probably yeah. I mean, he's the richest person in the world, so arguably, I don't know who's who
Yeah,
now,
but
Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. But I mean, if Jeff Bezos just tweets right now that Bitcoin, like Amazon accept Bitcoin, might become the most influential now. It's just all about the
well, I
subscribers
think it's
and
more than that, though. I mean, just like the memes. He's like, I mean, yes, if Amazon took Bitcoin, that would be big. But Jeff Bezos isn't on Twitter every single day. You know, every time Elon tweets, it's affecting the market in one way or another.
Mhm.
And even if, just because of the way he is and the way he communicates, he has wrapped himself up in the crypto market and kind of made himself, you know, if you will. So
which
what do
I
you
think.
think? What do you think of like one person kind of amorphously controlling the market? Because I don't think, you can argue we've seen it in the stock market, but I don't think you've seen it to this degree where literally one single person has that much influence for every single tweet they send out.
Sure, but yeah, because the market is immature, and he definitely can manipulate also the price of a Bitcoin to a certain extent. But the problem, uh, like even bigger problem, is when he started with some altcoins, like Dogecoin or others, and that gets it back to the problem which I was talking about when I was describing why I started the channel, because the people are unsophisticated, and they just think that Elon Musk, if he tweets something, that he means it, but we know that that's not always the case, and I don't think that he's actually like trading it. I don't think he's making money off of it. I mean, I think that he's just playing with it. It's like a toy, once you get to
Yeah,
that
no, that's
level of
fine.
wealth or influence, you have to entertain yourself somehow. So what if I tweet this or that, or give a
So
hint to some people, so
overall, do you think it's positive or negative for the market to have one person to be able to influence it so easily on a whim?
oh yeah, I
Doesn't
mean,
that
it's
kind of take
clearly.
away from decentralization?
Yeah, of course. No, it's nothing good about it for sure. It's pretty bad because it basically defeats all the purposes you said. And people, I would encourage people to use their own head, uh, to to decide what do they want to invest in based on hopefully some research. It doesn't, Elon is just doing it on a different scale, but there are also small influencers who are like pumping some coins, and then that they're
No, they're doing the exact same thing in the
following.
stock market, but I'm just saying, even like a
Yeah,
Warren
sure.
Buffett or something, he's never had as much control as a single entity as, for the entire market like that. It's just something kind of unseen in the whole equities game, if you will. So I was just curious to see, kind of a once in a market thing happening here.
Yeah, yeah. So I hope the markets will mature and it will start to ignore tweets from a single person, no matter how influential it is. He or she is, like if the president of the country, even like El Salvador, the president of El Salvador is pretty influential. But imagine if somebody with a bigger following auditor will start tweeting something, or it will get hacked, and the account will just, like it happened a few years ago when a lot of accounts would get hacked and they were just taking part in this Bitcoin scam kind of giveaway thing.
Yeah, I can see
So
that would be very easy. Like, hey, send your taxes to here.
yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely bad for market. Answering your question, we have
Well,
to
I think,
grow.
like you said, it comes back to education, because the thing that's so difficult about crypto is, to understand crypto, you have to understand like stocks first. So it's like, to a certain extent, you have to understand the basic of stocks before you can understand the basics of, you know, trading crypto or crypto valuation. And then you have to understand the technology to a certain extent, understand the technology as well. So it's, you could see how it's a bit difficult to get there without any education.
Yeah,
Do you think there's another country that's going to be adopting soon? When I say,
sure.
and like, well, I would assume, and I'm guessing it would be your assumption too, it's going to be somewhere geographically near El Salvador, in a country
Yeah,
with hyperinflated currency.
yeah. I mean, we've seen lots of, the moment when El Salvador announced it, there are lots of officials from different countries. They put these laser eyes, and seen people from everywhere, from Paraguay, Brazil, Argentina, even
I
Mexico.
think the sky blue eyes is for Cardano.
No,
I'd
it's
get Ethereum eyes. Honestly, I'm an Ethereum fanboy. I just like the programming aspects of it
okay. All right, I can see that.
personally.
The
But
AP
maybe.
1559.
But yeah, no, I've seen. Yeah, I have been seeing that, but nothing official yet.
Well, yeah, like today, actually, there was an article that Paraguay will introduce the bill in July in their Senate, but there is not a lot of support as of yet because they are selling the excess of electricity to Brazil. So that's their,
Brazil
that's the way how
sucks.
they work. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not going to stop there because I honestly been waiting for it, not just because as a Bitcoin guy or crypto guy, but it's a no-brainer. The small country, like there are lots of small countries which don't have much, and the only thing they used to have was a little bit of an export and a little bit of tourism. And now the pandemic hit hard on tourism and
Mm-hmm.
disrupted lots of supply chains. So
Mm-hmm.
what else they have to do? They have to come up with something. But at the same time, they are attracting smart people and they're attracting the developers, entrepreneurs, and the people who would be willing to invest in the country. But at the same time,
Basically,
think
the
of it.
opposite of the United States immigration policy.
Yeah, no comments on that. So the the other thing, the interesting part is that if you have a Bitcoin as a currency, you can manipulate it. And it was interesting that the government would be willing to give this huge power leverage, just give it up basically because they can inflate it. So,
Yeah.
but in case of El Salvador, they used to have their own money up until I think 1995, if I'm not mistaken. Then they just switched to a dollar, and now they like have a dollar and Bitcoin. But so they didn't really control much currency to begin with. But it would be interesting to see if some of the countries who have their own money, which is like hyperinflating, and if they would adopt Bitcoin, like
Yeah.
what would it mean? Like, what do you think? What does it mean from a government
Well,
perspective? Like,
one country that I kind of always have at least part of my eye on is Venezuela. Now,
mm-hmm,
given the nature of their government right now, I would think any implementation of Bitcoin would be difficult to impossible.
Mm-hmm.
But if there would be, at some point he'll be gone. Either he'll die of natural causes or they'll overthrow him, Maduro. So, and hoping that it goes in like some kind of democratic direction, which, I am biased towards democracy. I think that could be extremely helpful for Venezuela. I mean, I don't know exactly the numbers, but I think it's the most inflated currency in the world. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No, I think you're right. But again, see, it's all about the power, because if you have your own money, you can print it. You at least can print a little bit more and put in, throw it in the ditch and just, sustain it yourself for a little bit of time. But now if you just have a Bitcoin, then you can do it. You have to figure out the way to mine it or attract investors. So it's really huge. I think people don't really understand the importance of
That's what I
El
was going to
Salvador
ask you.
thing.
Do you feel like it's being underhyped, like just generally in my opinion, and I think yours, this is a world changing, not a world changing event, I'd say, but a world changing like landmark. It's been coming. It's a wave, so it's not like something that just happened. That's why I say it's not an event, but it's definitely like a huge landmark about things are really about to start happening in this direction for real. Like
Yeah,
people have been rolling their eyes at you for what, 10 years now, and now it's I told you so o'clock.
yeah, because for sure, because it's a huge leap for El Salvador and a small step for the world. Uh, and I don't know if on like underhyped I would use it, but it's definitely the people just didn't realize how massive it is. Something else which is pretty massive. I don't know if you wanted to touch a little bit on it, but I was listening to Ray Dalio recently. Ray Dalio is a legendary hedge fund
Is he
manager.
related to Creflo Dollar?
I don't know about that, but Ray
He's
Dalio, I don't
not.
know. I don't think so.
Oh, he's not.
Yeah. So Ray Ray Dalio is known for his theory about death cycles, death, like
Yeah.
assets and that. So and he was a Bitcoin skeptic for a while. He's an older guy, but recently he was like, yes, I do own some Bitcoin. And then he was giving an interview and um, he said that he'd rather pick in an inflationary environment like we have one right now, he'd rather pick a Bitcoins than a bond. And that is massive. Like people don't understand what he just said, because bonds they were always a place to go for this huge amount of money. Bond market is massive.
Because
That's
it's
like
supposed to always be positive.
it's supposed to be to yield a little bit and be stable and be the most stable thing where you can park a billion. Like you can park 100 billions
That's
in
why it's
bonds.
such a that's why it's such a big deal that the U.S. bond is negative right now. Like what you were
Exactly.
talking about, attracting investors.
Let me give
That's
you one
revenue right
number.
there.
Yeah, let me give you one number which is going to blow your mind. Do you know how much the price of pork went up since the beginning of the year? Like
Like
pork
I
is
don't know, like
traded.
150%.
Yeah, pork is traded on. There's a futures for all the commodities. You can find
Yeah.
wheat, soybeans, oil, and there's
Yeah, I know
also
all
futures
the
for pork.
commodities have been super inflated right now, but I don't know. I think that's a bit of a post-COVID mirage, in my opinion.
75% since the beginning of the year. Bitcoin is like 27 right now. So it depends what you're comparing. What's your denomination? If you're comparing Bitcoin to pork, you're like down for 40%. So the point is that it's just so many. Once you print so much money, it's a no-brainer that the prices of everything will go up. So
Yeah.
if your real inflation, even like in pork, is 75%, you can't afford to park billions in negative yielding bonds. Even the bonds which are yielding like 1-2%, realistically they're yielding a lot, like way below the inflation.
Exactly.
So we are on the brink of a changing paradigm, and if the market, let's say, tumbles and there will be another shock or panic event, of course the price of Bitcoin will fall for, like, go down for a little bit. but it's nothing fundamentally changed, or if like to a negative side, so all the fundamentals are just getting stronger and stronger. One of my videos I issued recently was Bitcoin was never stronger, and okay, the chart does not necessarily look too good right now, but I was talking about fundamentals because in this hyperinflation environment, the Americans just don't realize what's about to hit them.
Yeah.
Usual
Yeah, I would
inflation is
agree with that.
5%, and Jerome Powell was talking this Wednesday, and everyone was waiting what's he gonna say, the Fed Reserve guy, and he had to say something. There was like binary outcome should have happened. Like he should have said. Everyone was expecting him to say, inflation is too much. We were shooting for 2, now we have 5. We have to tighten monetary policy, raise the interest rate, and stop buying things. Or he would have said, just keep on rolling. We'll deal with inflation.
Let your winners ride.
And then he said that. So he said, we're not going to do anything. Inflation will just going to fade. Everything's okay. And yesterday, Federal Reserve bought $300 billion worth of junk assets, which are 70 corporations are dumping on them. The Federal Reserve balance sheet is $8 trillion. So they just printing their own bonds and buying them. That is insane. This is the mother of all bubbles.
No financial discipline. The United States has not had financial discipline since Reagan, maybe. I mean, he wasn't like that he wasn't that financially disciplined, but like he at least bought into the idea of it to a certain extent of trying to be financially disciplined. Every president since then is just throwing money on everything they can see. Yeah. Oh my Lord, it's a mess. It is a mess. Yeah. I mean, and also then we have our debt is greater than our GDP. I mean, although, well, the problem is our debt should be much higher, but because no one owns bonds, our debt should be to our own citizens, not to, well, everyone says China. We actually don't owe that as much to China. We only owe them $1 trillion, only. We owe Japan more.
Compared to what the Federal Reserve is holding right now, Yeah. China used to be a huge bondholder. Now it's not the case anymore. It's
Why would you?
barely even noticeable. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, and then it hurts our, diplomacy too, because we used to be able to give U.S. bonds to, countries like El Salvador or such. Well, that's, they don't want the U.S. bond because it's going to lose them money.
Sure.
That, and they have to. Oh gosh, what is that organization called? Like the International Business, whatever. The predators that basically steal money from poor countries. You know who I'm talking about?
Monetary Fund? No.
Yeah, the people that they basically, there's an international loan shark company that goes around into third world countries, and we're like, hey, we'll give you a loan with like stupid high amounts of interest.
Yeah, no, that's.
What is it? Hold on, I'll pull it up right now. What is that called?
I think it's internet. Is it the International Monetary Fund you're talking about?
I'm pretty sure.
IMF.
IMF. I'm pretty sure it's the IMF. Yeah, the International Monetary Fund are basically the UN loan sharks that are going around and extracting money from third world countries through bogus loan deals.
Yeah.
It's great.
But remember also that the government is the worst.
Government investor. Is the worst. I agree with you.
Is the worst investor too. So they they don't have to care. If you lose your money, it's on you. If they lose the money, they can always bail themselves out.
No, if they lose their money, it was your money in the first place.
Yeah. Something like that.
They're always playing with house. Always remember, the government is always playing with house money. Always. That's why. That's one of the main reasons that I don't think Medicare for all is a great idea, because there's no incentive to cut prices. We won't be paying out of pocket, but they're going to jack the prices up so much. We will be paying so much in taxes to cover it up. Now, we can offset that because the inflating costs of drugs right now is based on like corruption issues and issues of just, not allowing Medicaid and Medicare to negotiate drug prices. So I don't know, but that is one of the main issues with Medicare for All is it's just going to be a massive giveaway to the insurance companies and the already absolutely bloated healthcare administration infrastructure. I mean, Obamacare was a massive giveaway, but the thing is, it also allowed a lot of low-income people to get health insurance. So some good, some bad, but when I don't know, it just frustrates me when people say, single-payer government healthcare is the only reasonable solution, and if you don't support that, you don't support people having healthcare. Well, it's not that easy. Not that easy because government is the worst, quote unquote. But anyway,
Yeah,
I will go
don't
ahead
get
and
you started.
I'll go ahead and put the soapbox away. One of I wanted to ask you. Now, this was a little bit ago, but like for like a week and a half, my Twitter feed was just filled with green squares and Taproot. What the hell is Taproot,
Yes.
and what's up with all these green squares?
Yeah, well, green squares were okay. So Taproot is an update to Bitcoin Core, so Bitcoin code. It will introduce some privacy features to it. Don't get me, too much into technical details, but
So they basically went
the
from Windows
Bitcoin,
XP to Windows Vista.
hopefully not. Hopefully just jump
Excuse me,
straight to
Windows
Windows 7.
Vista to Windows 7, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
But
And
they
the
upgraded operating systems, basically.
and the green squares were the indication of the nodes who were accepting, because Bitcoin is a decentralized system. So the core developers can introduce something, but it's up to the miners to accept it or not. And every green square was indicating that another miner decided to support this update. And just
Okay.
recently the majority of absolute majority of the miners or nodes agreed to introduce Taproot, and it will go in it will be activated sometime in the following few months. I think September, if I'm not mistaken. So it will still take a little bit of time to implement, but at least the community agreed that that's a good thing, and they should
So
do that.
what are the supposed benefits, if you would?
Well, as I said, the privacy is the main
Or
the main benefit of
I
that.
guess what do you mean by like privacy specifically? Like how is it going to increase it from what was already there? I guess what are current privacy settings and what is it increasing to?
Well, I don't want to, confuse your listeners. I don't want to. I'm not sure really how it works because it's a little bit too technical.
Okay,
But you know
that's yeah,
yeah. I mean,
understood.
yeah.
Understood. All right, and then just does it add some more features, cleaned up UI, stuff like that? I assume.
Well, Bitcoin. What do you mean? Bitcoin doesn't have UI.
Well,
Well, it says that.
I mean, is there some kind of? I assume there's some kind of UI interface for mining or something like that. See, I don't know exactly the specifics.
Yeah,
I know. I mean, I've seen the warehouses full of machines, but there's got to be some kind of, you know what I mean? How does?
yeah, but
Maybe I'm wrong.
mining programs, if you will, they it's not that the Bitcoin is it's just decentralized ledger, which is the blockchain. So they
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
I think I
it's yeah,
understand the inaccuracy of my question.
yeah.
Um, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So then it was basically, was it maybe just like the different mining programs themselves accepting it, or was it the individual users?
Mm, say it again.
Like Bitcoin goes for essentially through the mining program, like you said. There's different mining programs.
Yeah, then
So
through the nodes, yes.
yeah, through the
Mm-hmm.
different nodes, but multiple people are going to be using the same mining program, and the mining program is hypothetically controlled by someone. So was it a thing where each individual person agreed to Taproot, or the code writer of the mining program had to code in like the Taproot plugin, and then all those people using that specific program turned green at once? Maybe
No, I
I'm probably getting a
think
bit in the weeds here, but like, was it a programming thing or was it just, you know,
no. It was the change on not on the programming, like PO, like not on the programming,
like the mining programs?
not on the
There
mining
was no.
program. No,
Okay.
not on the mining program. It's the core code of the blockchain. Basically, it's it's a critical upgrade on the Bitcoin itself, and
It
the
changed the
miners.
variable that would be loaded into the method that is the mining program, if you will,
Yes,
to
yes,
write it
something
in
like that.
programming language.
Yeah, let's say how Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash was introduced. Bitcoin Cash is a fork of a Bitcoin. So somebody just said that let's make a block bigger than it is currently. Let's make it not 1 megabyte. Let's make it, I don't know, but I don't remember from what's Bitcoin Cash block size, but let's make it 10 megabytes. And in order for this kind of change to take place, the miners or people who are running the nodes, full nodes, they have to say, okay, we agree on that. Now the blockchain of a Bitcoin is going to go two different ways. The fork is going to happen. One's going to do it the old way. One's going to do it the new way. And so the main chain is what majority of the miners and full nodes support. So this sort of this kind of upgrade, all the Bitcoin core miners and full node runners, they accepted it. So they're not going to be any fork. Bitcoin's just going to evolve from the current state to the taproot, and they'll just
I think I
all
might not have asked my
happen.
question in the most understandable way. I think the easiest way to ask would be, and I think I know the answer, just to make sure that I say it more clearly. Was some kind of software update required in the mining programs to process the new, Bitcoin taproot? And the answer to that is no. There wasn't any software. There was no, changes needed for the mining programming. It took it just the same as it was before. Correct?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
they didn't
that
need
was my
to update
question, and
anything.
I
Yeah.
didn't ask it in the best way, but yeah. So it didn't change anything with the mining or anything. It like just changed the. It didn't change the pickaxe. It just changed the gold in the ground.
Yes.
Okay,
Exactly.
there we go. I want to make sure that I wasn't making this more confusing than less for those listening or watching. I guess I don't know. I mean, I don't know. What are any other big developments lately? I think we basically touched on kind of all the big. Obviously there was that big drop off from mid-April, mid-May. It was about a 50% drop, which it's that meme of all those dudes at the hangman's noose. Oh, first time, first
Yes.
big drop. So, but you know, it comes back
Uh,
stronger every time.
yeah, yeah. And right now, my short-term prediction would be if 30,000 holds, then, or even like 33,000 probably holds, and I think will due to run up. MicroStrategy is buying another $500 million worth of Bitcoin, and they're willing to sell up to $1 billion worth of their shares just to buy more Bitcoin. Now it's a separate conversation if it's a good thing for
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin or not, but um, as I said, fundamentals are strong, and on the long run, we know that in a year from now, Bitcoin is going to cost more than it is right now. Same goes for Ethereum, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and I think. I mean, maybe you don't have to put it in exact numbers, but from now until end of the calendar year, how many other countries do you see making the announcement
Uh,
in the next,
maybe,
say, like next
yeah,
6 months? Yeah.
couple, maybe
Okay.
two,
So
one to
you
two,
you
one to
think
three,
by
something like that.
2022 we'll probably have like 4 or 5 countries who are using Bitcoin?
3, 4, yeah, probably,
Somewhere in
yeah.
there, yeah. And you think it's all going to be in the same region, or do you think we might see someone in Africa or something like that? Or would
Oh,
you predict it to be, well, specifically because we've been seeing all these laser eyes? I haven't necessarily seen any laser eyes out of politicians in Asia or Africa, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't happened. I just haven't seen it, but I know I have seen the ones for the Latin countries.
Yeah, I think Africa is probably we can expect somebody from Africa to come up with that too. Yeah.
Well, the thing about Africa, unfortunately, is very large portions of it are basically being totally bankrolled by China and the CCP. China, has economic ties and controls for large portions of Africa. We have a lot in which, that's a separate issue but, so something to keep in the back of our minds.
For sure,
The
for sure.
CCP might actively discourage that because they are working on, they would want to roll out their own. They wouldn't want,
Yeah.
so.
But I'm excited. I'm excited more about the mining development. I think the United States right now gonna. I know that there are already a lot of mining happening in the United States. I think it will
We need to
increase.
get our energy shit figured out. That's the problem. The problem isn't the crypto. The problem isn't that we need lots of energy. The problem is that we still have not figured out the right way to get energy without fucking everything.
For sure, yeah. And I think that the smaller countries, they may not necessarily adopt Bitcoin as legal tender because that's a huge step. But we can see that if the volcano thing works or the solar thing, and we'll probably see some of these countries around where I'm at adopting
They might accept
mining,
it.
and and then they for sure it's gonna give them a nice support for the economy of the country.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it's definitely a
I'm excited
backstop
about.
against hyperinflation for sure. I mean, it's kind of nice to know that because a country that falls into hyperinflation is bad for everyone because
For
then it
sure.
almost always leads to bad shit happening. That's why. Yeah, but anyway, all right, man. I appreciate
All right.
the time. It's always enlightening. Don't forget to check down in the description for all the links to check out the Invest Hacking YouTube channel and InvestTony on Twitter. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow on whatever platform you're watching or listening on. And thanks again for listening to another feast right here on the DP2 The Brain podcast. All right. Thanks, guys.